Hey, Sipsters, welcome back to Sip and Talk. Joe here, and as always, I'm with the amazing Sunny.
Cheers, everyone. Ready for another deep dive, you know?
Sometimes our listeners throw some seriously wild topics our way.
I do.
Remember Micky?
Oh, yeah.
Our buddy of that awesome travel and whiskey channel?
Mickytolife. Yeah, his stuff's always a fun watch.
He sent over this video that really got the gears turning.
Oh, yeah. What was he looking at?
It's a documentary about psychedelics.
Okay.
And it sparked this question.
All right.
Can these things that have been demonized for ages actually be used for, like, healing?
That's a big question for sure.
Right.
And it seems like Micky's video got a lot of our other listeners wondering. The same thing, our inboxes have been blowing up.
Yeah. So today, we're grabbing a fresh glass of knowledge and diving deep into the world of psychedelics.
Ooh.
Are they helpful? Harmful? Should we use them? Why? We're going to tackle it all.
Right.
From the psychological angle, the science, even the economics.
Wow.
We've been combing through articles,
Wow.
studies, personal stories. You'd be surprised what's out there.
I bet.
The history, the research, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I guarantee you're going to have some wait what moments today.
Okay.
We're talking about substances that can completely change how you see reality, yourself, even the universe. Buckle up, Sipsters.
I'm ready.
Where do we even start with all of this?
Good question.
Let's start with LSD.
Okay. LSD.
It might be one of the most well-known psychedelics.
Yeah, it is.
But it's got a mixed reputation.
For sure.
Right. Like it's got that whole Woodstock counterculture vibe.
Right.
But the thing is, LSD was first researched for its therapeutic potential way back in the mid-20th century. There were some promising results.
Really?
Looking at how it could help treat alcoholism, anxiety, even schizophrenia.
Oh, wow.
So what happened? How did something that showed so much promise become associated with, like, bad trips and societal rebellion?
Well, the 60s happened.
All right.
LSD got tangled up with the youth counterculture movement, anti-war protests, and there was some recreational use that didn't always go so well.
Right, and all that fear around those cultural changes, plus the whole war on drugs mentality, basically shut down all the research and got LSD slapped with a criminal label.
Sad but true.
But here's where it gets interesting. The story is changing again.
Oh.
There's this resurgence of research now,
Okay.
exploring LSD's potential to treat depression and anxiety.
Interesting.
And this time, it's all backed by super rigorous scientific methods.
So it's like we've come full circle.
It makes you think how much of how we view these substances is just based on societal fear-mongering, not actual science.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, LSD is just a molecule.
Right.
Its effects depend on how it interacts with our brains, our individual tendencies, the environment we're in when we use it.
So true.
Okay, next stop on our psychedelic tour.
Psilocybin.
Psilocybin magic mushrooms. This one has a history that goes way back.
Yeah, thousands of years.
Thousands.
Ancient cultures were using magic mushrooms for spiritual healing, way before modern science came along. It's amazing how those ancient practices and modern research are starting to line up.
Right.
Like they both point to psilocybin's power to create these intense emotional experiences.
Yeah.
And even long-term changes in our thinking.
I have to share this story from the studies we read. A woman who was undergoing psilocybin therapy, and she had this incredibly vivid experience where she saw her unborn daughter and the Virgin Mary. Talk about profound.
Wow. That's powerful.
Researchers are finding that psilocybin interacts with the brain's serotonin receptors,
Okay.
specifically in the default mode network.
Default mode
What
network.
in the world is that?
So imagine your brain's on autopilot, right? That's basically the default mode network.
Okay.
It's responsible for all that self-centered thinking, the endless rumination, our sense of self. And what's crazy is psilocybin seems to quiet this network down,
Right.
giving people a chance to escape those rigid thought patterns and feel connected to everything around them.
So it's like hitting the reset button on your brain.
Yeah.
No wonder people report feeling massive shifts in perspective, even relief from depression and anxiety.
It's almost like psilocybin gives your brain a chance to rewire itself to break free from those negative feedback loops and create new, more positive pathways.
Okay, hold on. We've got another mind-bending substance.
Okay, bring it on.
MDMA.
MDMA, better known as ecstasy. Right?
That's the party drug.
Yeah.
Dancing all night, feeling euphoric, that whole scene.
MDMA has a reputation on the rave scene. But get this, research shows it has incredible potential for treating PTSD,
Really?
especially when traditional therapy just hasn't cut it.
Seriously. How does that even work?
MDMA boosts serotonin and oxytocin, the feel-good hormones tied to love-empathy connection.
Okay.
It creates this sense of safety and trust, allowing people to revisit traumatic memories without being overwhelmed by fear or anxiety.
Oh, wow. So it's like building a safe space to process all that heavy emotional baggage. We came across this story of a military veteran who had been battling PTSD for years. Nothing worked. Therapy, medication, you name it. Then he participated in an MDMA-assisted therapy trial. And it was like a breakthrough. He was finally able to process his trauma and start healing. Makes you wonder if there's a place for MDMA in a controlled therapeutic setting, right?
It's definitely a debate that's gaining traction.
Yeah.
Of course, there are still concerns about potential risks, like psychological distress, the need for proper guidance and a safe environment.
For sure.
But the early research is definitely promising.
Okay, before we get too far ahead, let's talk about mescaline.
Mescaline, okay.
This one comes from the peyote cactus, and it's got a long history of spiritual use in indigenous cultures.
Right, and it's super important to approach mescaline with respect and caution.
Yeah.
The peyote cactus is a sacred plant, and it takes forever to mature. We're talking 15 years for a single cactus.
15 years.
Yeah, so responsible use is absolutely key here.
It really highlights how important it is to conserve these plants and respect indigenous practices.
Absolutely.
So how does mescaline compare to the other psychedelics we've talked about so far?
Well, it's interesting. Mescaline tends to enhance physical sensations rather than triggering those intense hallucinations.
Okay.
It's more like your senses are dialed up to 11 and you become super aware of your body and everything around you.
So less about the crazy visuals and more about a grounded experience.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And for some people, that's exactly what they're looking for. It can be a way to connect more deeply with nature, to appreciate the beauty of just being present in the moment.
So we've explored some specific psychedelics.
We have?
And now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
What's the overall debate surrounding these substances?
Yeah, because it's not all sunshine and roses, right?
Right. There are definitely risks and concerns we need to talk about.
You got it. Just like with any powerful tool, there's potential for things to go wrong.
We've all heard those stories about bad trips, people having really negative psychological experiences.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole question of addiction.
Right.
Is that a risk with these substances?
Those are valid concerns, and we can't just brush them aside. It's super important to have proper guidance, to be in a safe environment, and to use these substances responsibly. And of course, we need more research to understand the long-term effects and potential risks.
I think it's also important to remember that not everyone is going to have a positive experience even with the right guidance.
True.
Just like with any medical treatment, people react differently.
Absolutely. And that brings up the whole issue of personal choice and autonomy when it comes to healthcare.
Right.
Should people have the right to explore these substances for therapeutic purposes, even if there are risks involved?
It's like weighing the potential benefits against the potential harms.
Right.
While also respecting individual freedom.
Yeah, there's no easy answer there.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
It's a debate that's only going to get more intense as we see more research and as the movement to decriminalize and responsibly integrate these substances into healthcare systems gains momentum.
It will.
Well, Sipsters, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive so far.
We have.
And it's clear that the conversation around psychedelics is complex.
It is.
And nuanced.
For sure.
What are your takeaways from this first part?
Yeah.
What's resonating with you? Has your view on psychedelics shifted at all?
Let us know.
Let us know in the comments.
Before you do, I have one final thought to leave you with.
Okay, hit me.
We've talked about how psychedelics can affect individuals.
Yeah.
But what about their potential impact on society as a whole?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Could these substances help us tackle issues like climate change, social injustice, or even political polarization?
Whoa, now those are some deep thoughts.
Something to ponder over your next sip, maybe.
For sure. And speaking of pondering and sipping, make sure to check out Micky's YouTube channel, Mickytolife. He's got awesome content on travel whiskey and insightful discussions.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the one that inspired today's episode.
Totally. He's the one who got us thinking about all of this, so a big shout out to Micky.
All right, Sipsters, that's it for part 1 of our psychedelic exploration.
We'll be back with part 2 soon.
So stay tuned for more mind-expanding insights.
Cheers to that. Until then, keep sipping, keep thinking, and keep the conversation flowing.
We'll see you soon.